Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Paradoxic, and welcome back to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This time we are on episode 2 of the first season, and the season premiere opened up very well. It opened up very smoothly, very kind of fairly calmly. We had some moments of drama here and there with the opening and with Bucky's nightmare, but we had like a fairly calm season exploring Sam and Bucky's relative new present day lives and what's going on. So we had Sam. He immediately returned the shield. The episode opened with him getting dressed up and getting ready to actually go to the museum to honor, Cap's memory and Steve's legacy and everything. So he was going there. But he did not feel like the shield belonged to him. Regardless of whether or not Steve actually told him, it's not someone else's, it's yours. I'm trusting you to be the new Cap. He still didn't really feel like he was actually ready to actually pick up that new mantle. So he did the next honorable thing he could do, and he returned it to the museum, where pretty much all of Cap's other memorabilia is, like his costume and his bike and everything else. Like the Smithsonian, as we saw in the Winter Soldier, has an entire kind of section dedicated to Captain America and his war efforts and everything. So, and now they've updated it to include his newer, battles like the Avengers and Infinity War and all that jazz. So he returned it there, and even had like a little bit of a conversation with Rhodey about how he felt and stuff. So that was cool to see. But then he returned home. He returned home to Louisiana, where he has a sister and two little boys, two little boys who did survive the snap, and he came back, and then they were all, well, not all grown up, but they were still like a few years older than they were, and they call him Uncle Sam too, which is the cutest thing, I think. So he returned home there, and he was trying to actually fit back into his family life too, because he did kind of leave them to join the Air Force and become the Falcon beforehand. So now coming back in, he was actually trying to reintegrate himself with the newer world and everything. So he tried to help his sister get a loan from the bank to support their family and everything, but then that didn't go down well, and I think that may well have been the start of their background and like the struggles they've been having, and especially his sister's line, oh, funny how things always get tight around us, and even how the guy at the bank kind of treated them just because Sam was the Falcon kind of felt like on somewhat on the heavier side of things, and like the reality of actually being a superhero. And he wasn't really paid either. He even they even touched up on that, the fact that not all the even if the Avengers were paid to do what they do, like very few of them actually are, but the other ones. And I think thinking back to that line, it kind of hits like watching that episode and then going back to watch Age of Ultron, like hearing Steve tell Sam that he doesn't think he can afford a place in Brooklyn kind of hits it differently, because then you even wonder, was Steve being, because he was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. before he then became like a full-time Avenger. So you kind of have to wonder, okay, so then after that the Avengers actually went private, because before they were actually supported and even founded by S.H.I.E.L.D. They were founded by Nick Fury. He was the creator of the Avengers Initiative. So he founded that, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. fell, and then the Avengers became more of like a private thing, and then I think even in Age of Ultron, like Tony literally said, he's the one who designs everything and pays for everything and does all that stuff. So he was pretty much like the financial backbone of the Avengers in every shape of the word. So that kind of hits different, but then, now it's, back to civilian stuff, and, Sam can't really help her do everything, or do everything that needs to be done, and he's still trying to fix up the boat so that they don't have to sell it, and they can still go out and catch fish and all that kind of stuff. So that was tough to see on Sam's end, I think for Sam and Bucky, they did a great job in the opening alone, actually humanizing them and setting them up more as people who are actually actively trying to find their place in a post-blip world and stuff. So that was cool. And we also met Torres. I didn't looking back, I didn't really talk much about him in the review of the first episode, which I regret. But looking back, I think I did not know if he was actually going to be as prominent of a character. But then scrolling through social media, a lot more comic book fans actually recognized him as one of the people who actually takes up the mantle of the Falcon after Sam becomes Captain America. So the world still needs a Falcon. So then I think his name is Joaquin Torres. He actually becomes the new Falcon in the comics. So since this show is setting up, Sam to be the new Captain America, then a new Falcon could also very much be necessary afterwards. So then introducing Torres right from the get-go would definitely do a very good job actually setting him up and, playing around with him throughout the rest of the series. And then hopefully by the finale, Sam becomes Cap and Torres becomes the Falcon. And he's already kind of, tried to kind of, offer his own hand in helping Sam touch up and fix up the Falcon wing pack and everything. So he's already he's already involved. He's already helping Sam do what he can, and even in the opening battle against Batroc as well. We saw Batroc returning. So that was cool. And Torres is now currently, he is investigating the Flag Smashers, and he introduced us as an audience to the Flag Smashers. They're like a new group of like a new terrorist group who preferred the world during the blip. They preferred the world during the blip, or a world unified without borders, like a new world just to themselves. And now with everyone coming back, they are kind of angrier than ever that they don't get to keep this world to themselves, and that things have to go back to the way they were. And it's, and even I think if you think about it like that, like with that one, I think they even explored that in the bank scene too, like how things are tighter now because of that too. Like at first they had to adjust to the fact that half the world was gone, and they had to share the resources among themselves and adjust to that for 5 years at least. And then straight after that, it's like everyone comes back, and then all of a sudden there's not as much to go around anymore, and they have to readjust all the laws and all the new kind of terms and conditions and everything to refit the people who disappeared once. So it's like it's honestly the most stressful situation I can think of, just having to readjust and then having to readjust again to more people coming back. And Jesus, it's crazy. But we met Torres, so very much looking forward to seeing what we get of him going forward, and hopefully we get Sharon soon. I can't stop thinking about when we're going to get Sharon Carter. I need to see Sharon Carter. I need some Sharon Carter content soon, or I don't know what's going to happen, but I need to see Sharon soon. I need to see, what they're going to do with Sharon, how they're going to, improve upon her from her kind of cinematic screen time, and just to see Emily Van Camp back kicking ass, shooting bullets, and being a badass in general. So I'm looking forward to that. But we had Sam and Torres. We had Bucky. Yeah, he is having nightmares. He's having nightmares and PTSD from his time as a Winter Soldier, and he's also in therapy. He's also in government-appointed therapy. He received his kind of official pardon from his crimes and all the stuff he did as a Winter Soldier on the on the conditions that he would do. He would do kind of therapy and actually he's trying to make amends. He has I think an interesting parallel I didn't catch on to immediately was that he has his own notebook for readjusting to the world too. So like, and like other people pointed out on social media too, being like, like in Winter Soldier, Steve had a list of like a notebook full of things to explore in this new world, and now Bucky has a similar enough notebook, but now he's actively trying to make amends, and actually he's no longer he's not killing the people he let survive as a Winter Soldier. But it's like, we saw an example of a senator that he helped get into power as the Winter Soldier, and he instead handed her over to law enforcement. And he has 3 rules, one of which is, him being like, I am no longer the Winter Soldier. I am James Bucky Barnes, and you are now, just out of my hands. You are now in, now you're a person I'm trying to make amends for and amends to. So enjoy, and then law enforcement and like snipers and patrol cars came around, so he's actively trying to make amends. But I think the most emotional one, undeniably, is Yuri Nakajima, his neighbor whose son he killed, and we saw that in the nightmare. In his nightmare, he did kill a young Asian kid, and that kid turned out to be his neighbor's son. So I think he's actively spending more time with Yuri in order to try and make amends for that. But I think eventually he may have to realize that the best way for him to make amends is to do the same thing he's been doing with other people and actually confess to Yuri what actually happened. So that will undeniably be a very emotional turning point for Bucky, and we'll see exactly how well that goes down when it happens. But that's been cool too. That has been very cool. And to end then the episode off on a very, very kind of horrible and cringeworthy note, the government went behind Sam's back and they took the shield out of the museum and they appointed their own white Captain America. They appointed, Captain America, because that what we saw at the end, that was not Captain America. That was not, like, whoever that was not Captain America. Maybe American Captain, maybe some backwards government-funded kind of project or something, which, ironically enough, is exactly what, besides from the backwards, is exactly what Captain America was, but still. They've appointed the new Captain America, who I believe is John Walker. He is John Walker, and he has a helmet that looks too big for his head, and he has like stripes across his costume. And he has the exact same shield that Steve gave to Sam, and then Sam gave to the museum. So like that is further confirmation that the government literally went behind his back without telling him, and just they just took the shield and appointed their own Captain America. And, appointed him as the defender of their new country. So Very much looking forward to seeing how Sam tackles that subject, because it was on live TV, it was a live television kind of broadcasting, so, you know, that was that. But, yeah, the goal of the government to do something like that. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. But yeah, that is pretty much all I've got, all I've picked up from the first one, so on to episode 2, very much looking forward to it. If you guys want to catch the full-length reaction, because this will just be the highlights, so if you guys want to catch the full unedited version of the reaction, that one will be over on Patreon, so you can check that one out over there. But yeah, on to episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Let's go.
Time to go to work.
Yeah, I won't lie, I don't like the new design of the suit. I do not like the design of the new suit. Is that Star Spangled Man? I think, is that Star Spangled Man? It sounds, the tune sounds very familiar.
And you tested off the charts in every measurable category. Speed,
Whoa.
endurance, intelligence.
Look, here's the thing.
Wait, so he doesn't even have a serum
not
and he's already all
Tony
this?
Stark, I'm not Dr. Banner. Steve Rogers was the kind of guy who could do that. He gave me hope.
How's Bucky gonna feel about all this? Oh, he's angry. Oh, he's pissed. Oh, Bucky's pissed. Bucky's an angry bear. Ugh.
The big three. What big three? Androids, aliens, and wizards.
Androids, aliens, and wizards.
That's definitely
The
no,
big three.
It's not. Every time we fight one of the three.
So who are you fighting now, Gandalf?
I think it's about Gandalf.
I read The Hobbit in 1937 when it first came out.
So you see my point?
No, I don't. There are no wizards.
Oh, I love that. I
There's a
love
sorcerer.
that. Doctor Strange.
A sorcerer is a wizard without a hat. I'm right.
Oh,
That's
Bucky's
great.
confused.
But look, that's not the point. These guys aren't mad.
I love
All right?
that.
They use
I love
brute
that.
force, just like you. Enjoy your ride, Buck. No, you can't call me that. Why not? That's what Steve called you. Steve knew me longer, and Steve had a plan. 15 seconds.
Steve jumped out of a plane without a parachute, but go on. Go on. Oh, just tearing it off. Look at that arm. Look at that arm. Yeah, Torres has seen some shit. Oh, 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 the splinters. Oh, the splinters. Oh, good God, the splinters. Oh.
I have all of that on camera. You know that, right?
Yeah, Red Wing caught you in 4K, baby.
Oh, stealthy. Full time in Wakanda, and you come out White Panther. White Wolf. Huh?
Yeah, he was named the White Wolf. Oh god, these two are gonna kill me. These two are gonna kill me. Yeah. Now let's go. Now let's go do some chasing and fighting. Yeah. Oh yeah, Bucky can run. Bucky can run. Oh. 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 Damn. Oh. Good Christ. Yeah. Yep. She's a flag smasher. She's a flag smasher. Oh no.
I always wanted to do that.
Oh my god, really, Bucky? Really? That's what you want to say? There we go. Oh! Oh, really? Cap's here? The new Cap's here, really? Jeez. Well, he's just throwing the shield everywhere. He's just throwing the shield everywhere he can. Really? You want to stomp on the vibranium arm? What do you think that's going to do? Oh, okay, that didn't come out. Okay, and this one uses guns. This one uses guns. Oh boy, oh Christ. Oh.
Use that shield.
Get off of me.
Oh. Wow, okay, you know what? I really don't want to appreciate him, but that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool. Kind of. Whoa. Okay. Oh no, not much. Not much, no. Yeah, that would be a regular dude versus super soldiers. So the reverse of Captain America. Yeah.
You ever jump on top of a grenade?
Yeah, actually I have 4 times. It's a thing I do with my helmet. It's a reinforced helmet. It's a long
With your
story.
body, though? That's what Steve did.
It's 20 miles.
No, we didn't drag them. We dragged you through Red Wing.
They hacked Red Wing?
It's not exactly hacking. It's government property.
Red Wing is government property, really?
Kind of the government.
Look, I see a guy hanging out of a helicopter in tactical gear. I need a lot more than Lamar Hoskins.
I'm Battlestar. Johnson.
Battlestar.
Battlestar? Stop the car!
Okay. He doesn't like Battlestar. You took what was mine, I'm going to find you and kill you. Oh damn, she's already receiving death threats. Okay.
The GRC care more about the people who came back than the ones who never left. We got a glimpse of how things could be.
One world.
One world.
One world.
One people.
One world.
One people.
One world, one people. No borders.
Do you remember what happened the last time we stole it?
Maybe.
I'll help you in case you forgot. Sharon was branded enemy of the state, and Steve and I were on the run for 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
There is someone that you should meet.
Hey, it's
Black
Black Falcon!
Falcon.
Kid,
Black
I
Falcon.
don't know.
because I'm black and I'm the Falcon?
Well, technically, yes.
So are you like Black Kid?
I
got him, right?
love that. I love that. Black Falcon. Black Falcon.
Isaiah?
Look at you.
Oh, it's him!
This is,
John Jones' dad! John Jones' dad!
This is Isaiah.
Yeah.
He was a hero.
Oh,
One of the
damn.
ones that Hydra feared the most, like Steve.
Oh.
I took half that metal arm in that fight in Goyang, but I see he's managed to grow it back.
Damn, so he fought him as the Winter Soldier.
Isaiah, the reason we're here is because there's more of you and me out there.
Are they super soldiers? Isaiah's a super
Talk about
soldier.
it anymore.
Holy crap, he's a super soldier.
They put my ass in jail for 30 years. People running tests, taking my blood, coming into my cell. Even your people weren't done with me.
Isaiah.
Get out of my house!
Let's go, man.
Oh boy.
So you're telling me that there was a black super soldier decades ago and nobody knew about it?
Oh, fuck.
Hey,
The hell?
can I see your ID?
I don't have ID. Why?
Just search, just calm down.
I am.
Oh no, don't tell me we're doing this.
Just give him your ID.
No, I'm not giving him shit. We're just talking.
Hey, look, is this guy bothering
No,
you?
he's not.
They're
bothering you. You know what
friends.
this is?
Oh, God.
I
I'm
hate
so
this. I
sorry,
fucking
Mr.
hate this.
I
No.
didn't recognize you without the cockles. I'm really sorry about this. Guys, just wait here, okay? You missed your court-mandated therapy. It's like missing a check-in with your PO.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Sorry, Mr. Barnes, you're under arrest.
He's under arrest for missing a therapy session? Are you serious? Jesus.
Condition of your release session now. You too, Sam.
No, it's okay. I'll be out here with my.
That wasn't a request.
Oh, she's starting couples therapy now? She's starting couples therapy now? Ugh.
In my miracle, he would talk less.
That's what I was gonna say. Isn't that ironic?
You guys are leaving me with no choice.
Well, which way?
Why do you have to have your
right
legs
or left?
open? You know what? Fine, here.
Oh, interconnect the legs.
All right.
Interconnect the
Good.
legs.
Locked in.
Fine.
It's a little
It's
close.
very close. That's what you wanted, right?
Guys. Good. Now look at each other.
The smoldering looks from both of
Wait,
them.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you having a staring contest? Just blink. Sweet Jesus.
That is everything he stood for. That is his legacy. He gave you that shield and you threw it away like it was nothing. So maybe he was wrong about you. And if he was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me.
Wrong about him.
But can you accept that I did what I thought was right? We both can go on separate long vacations and never see each other again.
I like that.
Great. Well, let's get to work.
Guys, come on.
Thanks, Doc, for making it weird.
Could have gone better. Actually, could it have? I don't know. I think we need that drama right now. Out of the way and done with.
Look, what's wrong?
But you guys have rules of engagement and all kind of authorizations you have to get. We're free agents. We're more flexible. So it wouldn't make sense for us to work with you.
Maybe share intel, but don't go on missions
A word of
together.
advice, then. Stay the hell out of my way.
Okay. If there's no cooperation, then there's really no cooperation. No. He's gonna die, isn't he? He's gonna die. Yeah, okay. They're not immune to they're not immune to bullets. They're very much not immune to bullets.
Walker doesn't have any leads.
I know where you're going with this, and no,
He knows all of Hydra's secrets. Don't you remember Siberia?
we're gonna go see Zemo.
They're gonna go see Zemo. Oh, they're bringing him back. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, he's still in CIA custody, isn't he? He hasn't broken out yet, at least. Baron Zemo. Okay. That was a very, very interesting episode. Any post credits? Nothing. Okay, well, I'll just keep it open anyhow, because it's really cool. Closing credits. The closing credits look really, really cool. Okay, yeah, that episode was good. That episode was a very good second episode, very good continuation. And we were introduced to John Walker. We were introduced to the man who is John Walker, the new Captain America. And from the get-go, that opening scene is all like him seeing him going through the stresses and the anxieties of actually being a new Cap. I felt like they were actually this episode was a mix of trying to humanize him and trying to get less people to hate him, because I think the first episode, seeing him in that suit was not a great introduction. People were just immediately jumping, myself included, people were just jumping on the bandwagon of, oh my god, I hate this guy, he's not Cap, he's not the real Cap and everything. But seeing John Walker, the man underneath the helmet here, I think they made efforts. They definitely made effort to try and humanize him and show that he's not exactly he doesn't find any of this easy. I think no normal person would no normal person actually would find any of this easy or really jump into this with both arms outstretched or anything. People would have John does have his natural anxieties about this, and he acknowledges the fact that carrying that shield and being Captain America is a huge legacy to uphold, and there's only ever been one Captain America so far, and the stuff that he's done is is miles beyond anything that John Walker's accomplished so far. So it's a very, very huge shoes. Because I think for one thing, it's people are just now learning to let go of the fact that Steve was Cap and everything that he did and who he was. But now the government is kind of rushing the world into accepting this new Captain America and who he is and what he's going to do. So, he's kind of acknowledging that, and he acknowledges that Steve was the hero for the people, and that Steve was the hero that people needed and deserved, and he doesn't know if he's going to live up to that. So I think that stuff, I think it definitely worked to kind of humanize him a bit more and show people that, he's still just another guy who's been chosen by the government themselves to pick up the shield. And stuff. So yeah, and he's a former football player. And he actually went back to his high school to be there. And I think that is definitely like an alumni thing too. He actually becomes successful after leaving high school, and then he goes back and inspires and does that whole thing. And I think up until they showed the training montage, I thought he probably is just going to be propaganda material, because even with Steve, they intended to make him one of many soldiers, but then when he turned out to be the only successful soldier, it was like the colonel even said, I asked for an army and all I got was you, but you're not enough. So then they just turned him into propaganda material with musicals and all that stuff. And I think I'm 80% sure. I think I might have to go back and listen to it, but I'm pretty sure they actually played Star Spangled Man with a plan on the instruments. There were no lyrics. I think the tune alone sounded very familiar, but there were no lyrics. I think I couldn't be entirely sure. But that was a neat kind of Easter egg. And yeah, so I think that they do still have him doing propaganda on some kind of level. They already have merch. They already have bucket loads of merch: jumpers, t-shirts, hoodies, posters, action figures, all these different things. That's just gonna start rolling them in money and stuff. So he's signing autographs and he's doing all this stuff, and he's going on live TV and presenting himself, and he is the new Cap. So he's doing that. But then they actually showed a training montage that showed that he doesn't have a serum. He is a soldier. He actually does. He was awarded 3 medals of honor, which I think they said he's the first kind of American hero to do that and stuff. So he was given 3 medals of honor. He was given a bunch of other military awards and stuff. And he has a military history, and he has training. They showed that training, that montage of him working out and doing punches and combat, and even him throwing the shield. He can throw the shield with some pretty insane accuracy too, so that's convenient. And he doesn't have a serum either. He does not have a serum, which I think for me it kind of reinforces the belief that for the shield it's just it's just with the training. Because watching First Avenger, I remember thinking to myself wow, because I think watching that movie, and then I think I actually read somewhere in some other kind of fan post, I think way back when in 2011 or 2010, 11, when the movie came out, and people were talking about that. I remembered seeing some of the, like the shield is so heavy that, Cap can only lift it because he's a super soldier. But then looking into it, it's like, no, Cap, like even Bucky could lift it, and that was before he became like a super soldier for Hydra. Like even Bucky could lift it, and he could use it too. So yeah, so the shield is not really like I think even Howard described it in the first Avengers that like it's stronger than steel, but it's even lighter than steel, so it's really easy to carry and really easy to throw and stuff. And Hawkeye's throwing it in Age of Ultron, so throwing it is not. I mean, you need the training throw, you need the training to actually throw it and hit multiple targets and get it to come back to you and all that stuff. So you need the training, the accuracy, but it's by no means like heavy to throw or anything like that. So seeing him there, and I think and he is not just propaganda. He's not just propaganda material. He is right. He is. I think he's the result of a Captain America who goes along with the Accords. I fully believe, like, because he's a government-funded and government-trained and government, controlled kind of version of Captain America. He is the Captain America we would get if the guy behind the shield actually decided to sign with the Accords and actually work with the government and do what they needed to. Like he is that kind of thing. Like they send him where they think he needs to go, and he holds back when they don't tell him to go anywhere. So he was there. He was there with the like that truck fight scene. He came in with the shield and he threw it. And I think I think the coolest trick might have been when Lamar Hoskins, he actually fell off the truck and he was landing on the floor, and then he threw the shield at the floor, and then instead of actually he threw it in a way that it wouldn't actually bounce off, but then it would actually fall under him like an actual shield would. So I think that one was probably the coolest trick there. But yeah, John Walker. So he is the government's new Captain America. He's kind of and again, I think part of this episode actually succeeded at humanizing him. The rest of it just kind of showed that I think the rest of it showed that he is. I think I wouldn't say he's not at all similar to Steve. He's not at all similar to Steve because this one actually sides with the government and follows their orders and actually does what he thinks is best for them. But at the same time, it's like he also doesn't seem like a natural leader. He also seems like just a little bit like someone who especially with John himself actually being a person and having to take up the mantle of Cap. Like he definitely seems like he's definitely kind of like embracing he's finding ways to embrace this kind of the celebrity status he's now found, but also he's being Captain America. He's like he hasn't refused the role. He never said no. He didn't say he feels like I think he probably I think because there's been no confirmation as to whether or not he actually wants to be. Because I think Sam gave up the shield. He decided not to be the new Cap. But then I think John. I don't know if the government actually had like a short list of people that they could ask to be the new Captain America, or if like this guy was the one they went, yeah, that's the one we need, and then they just gave him no other choice or something. But because I think there's been no. I think so far there's like we've just seen that he has his anxieties and his stresses about it, but he's still going forward. He's still embracing the role. He even said he's not trying to replace Steve. He understands Sam Bucky's kind of tension on that one, but he's just trying to be the best Cap he can be. But there's been no confirmation as to whether or not he was given a choice or whether he actually did say you're one of many kind of you're one of many potential candidates we have to take up the throne. If you did, we'd be honored. And there's no confirmation as to whether or not he actually had the ability to say no to, or if he actually just knew what an opportunity this was, and he decided to actually take it up on that account. So I guess we'll have to wait and see there. But I think so far we've just seen that he definitely feels the responsibility and the weight on his shoulders, but he's also not dropping it just because of that. So I think that could also be part of it. He knows what a big responsibility this is, but he also feels honored to be chosen to do that. So I think that could be a reason he also kind of said yes to it as well. But he met Sam and Bucky, and they are less than pleased. They are less than pleased. I think I think Sam at least is being diplomatic. He's actually trying to be civil, and he's just trying to be passive aggressive. But Bucky is making his tensions and his kind of disdain towards this new choice very clear. He's a starer. He's a very, very kind of smouldering starer and everything, which John and Lamar caught on to. So he's very, very kind of not okay with this whole idea. And he not just that, but he's also holding a grudge against Sam for actually giving up the shield and even letting something like this happen. So that was also an interesting bit of tension. But Lamar Hoskins. So he's Battlestar. He's Battlestar. That's a pretty nifty code name for him. So I think at first I figured he is the wingman, but he's also like the Sam Wilson to to Captain America. Which I mean, again, I think I can't. I think it's kind of hard not to see him as the token black guy that the government just chose, because I think the government was aware of the partnership between Sam and Steve too, and like I think knowing the government, they probably just saw, oh yeah, like for probably like they probably saw like, oh, for diversity's sake, Steve had like a friend, like in the modern day, Steve had like a token black guy friend that helped him out in battles, and he was like an ally to him. So now we need the same thing for John too. But then in John's case, they did stick. They did still stick with the whole thing where, like, for Lamar and John, it actually seems like they are friends. They've been friends for a while. Like they know each other, they understand each other. So for that reason, it's actually Lamar. Like they're actually paying attention to the connection between those two people, as opposed to just being like, oh, here's a token, black guy superhero friend for you to actually, take with you on battles and stuff. So they seem to make their own duo just fine. They seem to make their own duo just fine. So that was that's cool. So Lamar Hoskins, Battlestar. That's very cool. And I mean, you might have then been getting ready to like John, just a little bit from how decent of a guy he might have seemed. But then right at the very end, when Sam and Bucky actually enforced and kind of established the fact that they wouldn't be willing to work with them because of the fact that they're government people and they're free agents and they're more flexible, then John Walker's just like then John Walker's kind of cooperative smile turned into a stern scowl and said, okay, if that's the case, then stay the hell out of my way. Like him, then revealing his kind of true colors and just kind of reinforcing the fact that, yeah, you're right, you know what, I am a government agent, that means I do what my government tells me to do. So then him also warning them, like, if you get in my way and my government tells me to arrest you too for interference, then I'm gonna have no choice but to do exactly that. And him also saying, like, then don't get in my way, leave this to the government people and leave this situation to the people, with the explicit authority and explicit kind of permissions to actually, prevent this from getting any bigger and all that kind of stuff. So I think from that point onwards, that, John Walker, I think he's a guy there to do a job to the extent that, if anyone else gets in his way, he will sort them out too, and he's that kind of Cap. So yeah, but also, I mean, I think in the comics he is known as U.S. agent, and I think even when this character was announced, like, people did identify him as U.S. agent. They didn't really, call him as Captain America. So I think, with this one, he definitely. I think that could also be what happens, like, by the series finale, by the season finale at least. Like by the season finale, like we'll officially have Sam as the new Cap. Torres. We didn't even see Torres in any of this. I don't remember seeing Torres in any of this. Like Torres was completely out of the. Oh no, he was on the plane. I was wrong. He was on the plane when Sam and Bucky were jumping out and going after the truck. So he was there. But that was it. That was pretty much it. So Torres could be the Falcon by the end of it, and then John could actually kind of like. I think John. I think the arc that John might have in this one is that he might eventually come to realize that despite what he's been telling himself, despite what the government's been telling him, like, he's not destined to be Captain America. He is a U.S. agent. Like, he is like Captain America. Like, like Steve pretty much embodied that and actually set the standards and the kind of the bar for who Captain America is and who he's meant to be and stuff. And then he kind of like embellished that role in his own ideals, and that is not ideals, and especially with the freedom to fight the way he believes is right. Like, that is not something I think that John can actually carry with his devotion and his connection to the government. So I think because of that, he might then drop the Captain America mantle himself and then just become U.S. agent, and then become the version of Cap that actually works with the government and does what they say and works with them in accordance with the Accords. Not that they're a thing anymore, but still, like, he works with them in that sense, and then Cap becomes a new Falcon. So I do very much look forward to seeing how this whole thing progresses, but yeah, that should be fun. And we also heard about, I think it's the Global Repatriation Society or Council or something. I can't remember what the last one was, but I think someone else then down the line shortened it and called it the GRCs. I think it might be Council maybe, but the Global the GRC Global Repatriation Council. So they are a new founded thing. Honestly, I think they also could have been founded during the blip, because I think especially during the blip you would need that kind of society, that kind of that kind of element of newly implemented bureaucracy to actually help the people left behind, help the people who lost people and lost places and stuff like that. So I think they could have definitely been founded during the blip, but then they actually, again, like the rest of the world, they actually readjusted after the blip and actually then extended their efforts to actually help the people who were the refugees who were displaced after the blip too. So So yeah, so they've been helping with like accommodation and healthcare and social security, and actually helping everyone helping everyone like reintegrate themselves into the world kind of system to actually find their place in the world again, both literally and figuratively. Because some people like Aunt May, some people did blip back into their homes only to find out that they weren't their homes anymore, and that they were actually being lived in by other people, so then they had to find new places. And I don't know how that would work either. Like would they then have to find a new place, or would the other family have to move out? Because I don't know. Like how exactly that would actually go down. But either way, they were the society actually designed to help. Like I mean, all that's confirmed is that they were able to help displaced refugees find their place again. But I think it's not exact. I think it's not impossible to think that the idea of that kind of a council would have been founded during the blip to help the people left over find their place too, and find everything they needed. So that was cool to see that the world did come together. I think it could have also been a result of like the world coming together too. Like everyone comes together to actually help each other in whatever way they can. Like there would be chaos, obviously. Like there would be chaos and riots and stuff like that. But then on the plus side, there would be people actually willing to help and stuff like that. So that's cool. That's cool. And then I think by far one of my favorite scenes was Sam and Bucky's reunion, which started off tense, but then kind of veered into more comical and more comedic kind of tones. So Sam has a big three. So Sam and John and Lamar also believe in the big three, but Sam kind of introduced the idea of the big three to Bucky. So androids, wizards, and aliens. Androids was like those are the big pieces. I think it also does. I mean, it does kind of. I think the wizards one. I mean, because I think these are meant to be based. I think on the one hand, I think it's kind of based off of people they've already fought, whether they're allies or not. But on the other hand, I feel like it could be threats they've already faced. It could be threats they've already faced, because especially with Sam being an Avenger, he hasn't really been in anyone else's movie. He hasn't really gotten a solo movie as of yet. He's only got this series so far. So I think the only ones I think we can confirm that he's faced are aliens, because he wasn't there during Age of Ultron. So androids, yeah, like androids would be like Ultron, Age of Ultron. Then aliens would be Thanos and all that kind of stuff. And then wizards, he's never fought wizards. I think wizards as like a big three, like people they've actually faced and fought against. I think only Doctor Strange, being a wizard himself, has fought wizards like Caecilius and Dormammu. I mean, Dormammu isn't a wizard, but like Caecilius being a wizard himself, like he's only ever fought him. So I think wizards would be something that they're aware of. So I think the big two like groups that they're aware of would be so androids, aliens, and wizards. So yeah, and then of course Bucky's confusion being Doctor Strange is a sorcerer, and then and then Sam reconfirming his own opinion that a sorcerer is just a wizard with that hat. I mean, that kind of makes you think, what is the difference between a wizard and a sorcerer? Is it just the terminology, or do they actually? Because I think they both do magic. But then, yeah, I think, and I think even in WandaVision they established that magic does exist, because I think Wanda's kind of magic is chaos magic. So magic and sorcery, I feel with sorcery, there's more of a technical history behind it, like a more technical history, technical kind of perspective on it. Sorcery is more of it sounds more professional, it looks more professional, whereas magic, if you hear magic, you either think of Harry Potter, or you think of typical kind of sleight of hand, like the stuff that that Scott Lang and Jimmy Woo were doing in their respective kind of properties, like that kind of like simple sleight of hand illusions and stuff like when I hear magic, at least that's what I think. But when I hear sorcery, I think of actually Doctor Strange and Wanda casting spells and hexes and illusions and stuff like that. So, and illusions, even then, it could be that it doesn't have to be just simple card tricks. It can be different realities, like Wanda made. So I think with that one, I think it might just be a terminology. So like a wizard. I think again like wizard and magic, I feel like those are somewhat more commonly kind of seen as playful words, like someone dressing up as a wizard and doing simple magic tricks. But then a sorcerer is someone like Doctor Strange. I don't think he is the Sorcerer Supreme. He's not the Wizard Supreme or the Wizard Wonderful or whatever. He is the Sorcerer Supreme. So I would have to kind of take Bucky's side on that, and I think he's actually kind of right. Sam's kind of right. A sorcerer, him saying a sorcerer is just a wizard without a hat. He's, in terms of appearance, he's right. But I think a sorcerer is also like someone like that, someone who actually does actual mystical magic and has all those actual powers. Whereas like a wizard is just someone who might just do like, oh, again, a wizard like seems more playful. Is just like someone who uses sleight of hand and you're kind of like displaces your attention in order to pull off effective looking magic tricks. But like a sorcerer actually has those kinds of enhancements and those kinds of powers and stuff like that. So yeah, sorcerer is a wizard without a hat. I love how that's how he actually, like, that's his way of actually establishing that. Like, you know, like a sorcerer, like, it doesn't matter whether they have powers on. Like, if they have a hat, they're a wizard. Like, if they have like the big pointy hat that wizards and witches usually do, it's a wizard. If they actually have no hat, then then they have powers and they're a sorcerer. But yeah, like the hat is like a tinfoil hat. It's like this prevents you from doing any actual magic. So yeah, but I love the exploration of that, like the big three that they fought in all their time, being Avengers and being soldiers and heroes and everything, like they fought all the big three, and I think kind of makes you wonder. I mean, and again, those are definitely Avengers level threats. Like the wizards, well, like like Doctor Strange is set to become an Avenger in the future. I think in the next lineup, he would definitely have to be a part of it. So he's fought wizards himself. And then the androids and aliens are like threats that the Avengers combined have all kind of dealt with. So it's like the big three, like the three biggest threats that are out there. And I think because he's never fought wizards before, I'm kind of curious as to how Sam knew to include them in his list, or if he just knew that Doctor Strange had fought them and he's an Avenger and he was there and stuff like that. And then he actually met up like Wong brought in like a bunch of other sorcerers during Endgame and stuff too. So he just kind of became aware of their presence and he was like, great, that's one thing to add to the big three. So then the big two became the big three. So yeah, I'm curious as to how much longer that list is going to become when he fights even more stuff going forward in the MCU, like more cosmic threats and stuff as well. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. So then, including Sam and Bucky, they went to visit Isaiah. So Isaiah is another, like, a black super soldier, and I think it's very clear. I think even they like Sam himself. Sam was understandably annoyed and disappointed and pissed at why he was never told about this before. Like, especially a black super soldier being alive during the 50s, like a time when like racial tensions were still continuing and still had an all-time high. Even before, during, and after the war, like that stuff going on. And I think Bucky actually met him as the Winter Soldier during the Korean War too. So yeah, and he was a super soldier. And the actor, I think I can't for the life of me remember the actor's name. But the actor himself, I think I instantly recognized him. He played John Jones' dad in Supergirl. I think his name. What was his name? I can't remember I can't remember what his character's name was. But he played John Jones' dad, and up until the character's death, he played John Jones' dad in Supergirl for like a season at least, like for a good entire season. He had a great run on that. I loved him in that. So seeing him in this, seeing Isaiah in this, he's like an old man too. He's an old man, but he still has his strength. He took his little tin can thing and he just jammed it in the wall. He threw that into the wall. But he was not a happy man. He especially was not a happy man to see Bucky again. He was not really too happy to see him again. But he was a black super soldier, and he fought the Winter Soldier, and he walked away. He fought the Winter Soldier. He tore off his arm too. He even said, last time I saw him, I tore this guy's arm off, but I see it's grown back now, and it's even newer. So he actually he actually fought with him, and he was the only one too. He was like the government admitted, like he said, the government actually sent in troops of like dozens of other troops, and none of them made it back. But then they decided to send Isaiah. And then he fought. He went toe to toe with him, and he went back, and I think that is a story worth telling. Like Isaiah, I don't know what his full name is. I think the name Isaiah, I think it might ring a bell from Captain America history. I actually remember reading about a character in Captain America comics called Isaiah. But I'm not overly familiar with him, so I'm glad the show is actually bringing him in and bringing some awareness to his character. I think that is definitely a story worth telling. That's a story definitely worth exploring. I'm hoping we get like another scene with him where he actually talks about what he's been through and what happened and all that kind of stuff. Sam was understandably pissed at not knowing about like a black super soldier during the 50s and like during that time period, like not knowing that someone like that existed during that kind of time period too. And even Steve didn't know, because I think Bucky was the only one that knew. Bucky, being the Winter Soldier when he fought him, he was the only one that knew of him, and he now even knew where he actually resided too. So that was cool to see. So I'm sincerely hoping we actually see more of him and we see more of his story and see who he is now. And like he definitely, I think seeing Bucky again did not make. I think he even needed proof. He heard that Bucky was at the door. The man from the where is it? The man from the bar in Goyang, the man from the man from the bar in Goyang in Korea. So he needed proof of that, and then he actually let him walk in, and then he was pissed afterwards. But that scene played out heavily. And I think the scene after that is definitely something worth responding to. And I think they played it lightly. I think so the police scene, the police racial profiling scene, yeah, that. I think they played it fairly lightly with the bank. The bank was, like somewhat easier to digest and somewhat easier to process because it was a lot calmer. It was a lot kind of. I think you could still see the trouble there. You could still see why what went down and why it was a problem. But with this one, it hits even differently. It hits even more differently. And I think like the police driving up on Sam and Bucky having like an argument between themselves, like shouting each other, and then they immediately assume that Sam must be the perpetrator of some kind of verbal violence, and they immediately ask to see ID, and that was not easy to watch. It's not again. I think saying it's not easy to watch is not an excuse for not watching it. The fact that it's not easy to watch just kind of shows, okay, so then imagine how much worse it can go down and has gone down in real life, like to actual real black people, and to to see how that kind of situation. I think the profiling itself, undeniably pissed me off. But I think what got to me even more was how differently they treated him because they found out he was an Avenger. Because they found out he was a Falcon. Even that line, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't recognize you without the goggles." Like, that's the free pass he gets. Even at the bank on the street, that's the free pass he gets. And you can even see that kind of annoyance and that kind of that anger on Sam's face. Like, oh, so because I wear a wing pack and I fly around and I fight people, because of that you're giving me a free pass. But if he wasn't, then he would just be like they would see him as just another dangerous black guy on the street, kind of supposedly harassing a white guy. And even Bucky, being like, no, this guy's my friend. We're just, it's just like there's no issues, there's no problems here, and stuff. So that was tough to watch, and I think, and it reminds me of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There was an episode dedicated to racial profiling in Brooklyn Nine-Nine with Terry actually going to find his daughter's Mumu, and him being racially profiled by a fellow cop, but he didn't have his badge on. So he wasn't actually able to prove that he was a cop. But even then, he only got out because the officer actually ran his name through the system and found out, oh, Sergeant Terry Jefferson is actually a cop and stuff like that. But then he even explained, that shouldn't make things any more or less okay. Him being a cop shouldn't be what gives him a free pass. But just because of the color of his skin, the cop assumed that he was a dangerous guy walking down a neighborhood that he didn't look like he belonged in, or all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and I think even the neighborhood they went to, it didn't. I think it didn't really look like I think police would see that kind of neighborhood and just assume that bad things went down there, and it just seemed kind of ghetto to them and seemed kind of like lower income, and it just seemed like the kind of place to them that troublesome people would hang around. But I think that scene just. It hit hard, and I think again, upon hearing that this show would definitely explore kind of heavier and harder and darker themes, I definitely kind of explore I think it's kind of obvious to anyone who kind of acknowledges that Sam Wilson is a black hero that there's going to be racial tension and racial themes and stuff like that happening in this show. So it shouldn't be avoided. It should be addressed. It should definitely be addressed. And I think the way Marvel did it in this, I think it's definitely working. It's definitely kind of accurate, and it's definitely a topic worth addressing. And I think seeing how Sam approaches that too, being a black hero and actually being like a black guy with a superhero mantle and being that kind of thing. I wonder if he maybe then has any regrets connected to that. Maybe if he had kept the shield, he could be that kind of, because Black Panther was revolutionary in that sense. Black Panther was revolutionary, and he, I think introducing Black Panther to starting off with that, it did something. It showed a kind of a black guy in charge of it, owning and being in control of this entire kind of this entire country to himself. And he, Wakanda is a country, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I like that just pinged in my head. Like, wait, did I get the geography right? Is it a city or a country? Because it doesn't. It does have a city, but it is a country, like a third world country. Yeah, so it looks like a third world country from the outside, but then you go in and it's this entire thing. So I think starting off with the Black Panther, I think that was honestly revolutionary. Like showing off like black people and black culture and black heritage in such like a positive, warm, welcoming, and such like a heroic light too. Like showing off the Black Panther as a hero. Like starting off with that. Because I think they definitely kind of they were. I think like Feige always wanted to be able to do Black Panther, but then they definitely kind of like tipped their toe into that pool with introducing Falcon as this cool, new, suave kind of hero who just happened to be a black guy and showing kids you can be a hero too. But then they just kind of swan dove into that pool with Black Panther and showed everyone like look at this story, embrace these heroes, embrace the story, embrace this culture, and the cultural impact of that was an all-time high. But with this one, I think with this story, they're definitely going for the fact that just like he is black in today's day and age. Black people do not have it easy. People of color do not have it easy. So I think that is definitely also a story. As much as you should embrace the positive, it's also like it's good to like actually bring awareness to and actually show off the kind of the effects of the negative too. So yeah, that scene again, it was hard to watch, but it's all the more necessary to watch and see exactly what happens too, and just seeing that pain and that anger on Sam's face, like him getting I think what annoyed him more was instantly like him getting a free pass. Because I think if he wasn't a Falcon, then they would have arrested him. They would have actually arrested him. Like they would have actually increased their kind of things. And I think like they like even just the way they went about it too was just like so reminiscent of how it goes down in real life. Like he's walking down the street, he's getting visibly kind of annoyed and like like verbally he's getting loud at Bucky, but then they assume that he's then somehow a danger to Bucky or danger on that street and stuff. And oh yeah, my my head's getting hot. My head is getting hot. And oh yeah, no, that scene just. Props to Marvel for putting it in there. I don't know if I should say props because it's not like it's not exactly like a high bar to reach to kind of show off those kinds of like that kind of material and that kind of darkness. But still, I think it's a very very important scene to have to consume and to have to watch and to actually understand. And I think especially like life imitates art, that kind of thing, and maybe even vice versa in a lot of cases too. So. Yeah, I am increasingly I'm increasingly anxious, but also intrigued to see how they tackle that too. Because I think it's definitely not going to be like a one-time thing. I can't imagine it being like a one-time like one and done type of thing. I think it's going to be like they spent like that racial tension is something that I think it's also I also want it to be something that Sam himself acknowledges and Sam himself actually tackles and him actually internalizing like like that kind of well not internalizing but like internally processing that kind of like barrier he faces because he's a black man and he's trying to be he's trying to be this hero and he like like people they will let him be the Falcon, but then being Captain America, like especially then choosing like a white guy just like Steve, like Steve himself chose Sam not because he was black but because he had worked with him, he trusted him, and he knew that he could be the right face to carry the shield. But then the government just discards that and then chooses a new white Captain America, but then actually chooses his buddy who just happens to be a black guy to actually tag along with him and be his kind of like to be that duo and stuff. So yeah, and I think even with Steve in the Howling Commandos there was like one black guy that they kind of had for one movie, and then I loved how Agents of Shield carried on that legacy too. Like that guy's grandson then became an Agent of Shield, and he did amazing work as an Agent of Shield, and he lasted like a season and a half. But Trip was great. Agent Antoine Triplet was just amazing, and it sucks that we'll never see him again because just I think his work and his work as an Agent of Shield and his character was just amazing to see. Like he bonded with everyone. He was just I think honestly like in terms of personality, he seemed very much like the actual Sam Wilson of the Agents of Shield and everything. So yeah, but in Marvel products we have had great non-white characters over the years, and I can't wait to see how, because I think we're going to get America Chavez in. I think it's Doctor Strange. Is it Doctor Strange, or is it something else? I think it might be in Doctor Strange. We're going to get America Chavez. We have we're going to get Black Panther 2 somewhere down the line with Shuri probably headlining that role, and then we have Sam Wilson. We have Torres now. We have Torres coming in. We have Kamala Khan. I cannot wait to see Kamala Khan being brought to the screen, and seeing her on the biggest screen with Captain Marvel too as well. And I think we're gonna have monogram, but like faces, like more non-white faces are coming in. And personally, I just seeing these stories, seeing these characters being brought to life, it's honestly just it's like we have a big road ahead of us, and there is so much to take in and so much to embrace and enjoy. And I honestly can't wait for it. And I think what gives me even more hope is the fact that you know, like I think this series it kind of gives me the feeling that it's going to be a mix of like different storylines. Like they're not going to be using they're not going to use Sam as like some kind of asset or some kind of tool to just portray racial tension or racial kind of like racism like wherever they can. But they're going to show they're going to show him being the character who overcomes that barrier and actually proudly embraces his identity as a black guy and being like a superhero in that sense too. So I think this series, this season finale could show him being that too, like him actually embracing his new role as the new Captain America and giving hope to people just like him everywhere else too. So yeah, I look forward to seeing how it is. But yeah, that scene was horrible. It was horrible. So speaking more about Isaiah, he actually had some traumas of his own. And he said that, you know, what he got, like the kind of repayment he got for being the hero that he was that he was experimented on. And I think he mentioned your people. I immediately thought of, you know, like him being like, oh, white people. I immediately thought like him saying that to Bucky, and I think even Bucky referencing that later on, and then Sam reassuring him like, don't worry, he didn't mean that. He don't take it. I'm sure he didn't mean that, but I think he probably did. You know, like he meant Hydra, and then Hydra, like you know, but I mean, apart from in the modern day within S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't think there were many black people in Hydra. But he actually meant Hydra, like Hydra and, you know, like white Hydra people kind of experimented on him, and like they locked him up, they took his blood, they ran tests, and he was experimented on in that way. So he has his own traumas of that, and I think. So yeah, I think so. He spent 30 years in jail in Hydra lockup, and he actually was experimental that way. I think, you know, like that as well, like that. I think, you know, because I think in that sense, I mean, I can't help but wonder like when Isaiah would have been created. Because then like only Bucky knew about it because he was the one that fought him. But the government, I think, would the government not have actually made that actually, you know, like actually told the country about that, like their first black their first African American superhero, like super soldier? Would the government not have wanted them to know about that? I think you know, in that sense, like knowing how they probably felt about it, I think maybe the case would have been like, oh, you know, use him for the missions, but then just keep him on the down low, just, you know, because Captain America isn't here yet, he's not Captain. They definitely wouldn't want to make him Captain America. They might do to him what they were meant to do to John Walker, to turn him into US agent or something, and actually just use him for their missions, but then otherwise keep him on the down low. And then once he fights Winter Soldier too, once he fights the Winter Soldier, Hydra then actually finds out about him and finds out that the Americans have their own superhero now, and they have their own super soldier. So then they find him and they lock him up and then do experiments on him. So he has his own trauma from that. So again, these are stories that I feel like they need to tell in future episodes. They need to explain. Pardon me, I'm trying to talk too fast, and I've, you know, just I believe in future episodes of this season, those are stories they need to explore. They need to explore who Isaiah is, how he got the serum, like where he got the serum from, and how he got it, how the government gave it to him. Like, if they came up with like a new serum, that is also something that is something that they would want to test on new people. Like again, because I can't imagine that their scientists whoever created Isaiah would have been killed by Hydra as well, because then that would just be like a horrible curse. But you know, like, cause I don't know, because like if they created like another, like if they successfully created another super soldier, that is something definitely worth exploring. But then I think maybe if it only worked on Isaiah and they didn't actually want to make him public, then they might have kept it hidden and just because then I don't know. My brain is too hot right now. I'm still like my first initial view. I'm still struggling to process everything, so I don't know how that story would have gone down. But again, that's a story worth exploring. That's a story definitely worth exploring and definitely worth explaining to the audience. And you know, Isaiah is definitely a character worth keeping around. I think Isaiah could honestly be to what Isaiah could be to Sam. What I wanted Steve to be to Sam. I was looking forward to them potentially keeping Steve around to be the kind of old man in the park and the one that Sam could go to for advice. But then Isaiah could be that person. Isaiah could definitely be that person. Like not Captain America, but just like another super soldier who, you know, another black another black soldier who knows who knows what it's like to carry that mantle in your head when everyone around you is like telling you no, or like everyone around you is treating you differently because of who you are. So like him being a super soldier as well, he could actually I think in time, once they get to know each other, he could definitely be to Sam, or Steve could have been to Sam, and he could be the one. Isaiah could be the one to convince Sam to pick up that shield, and he could be the one to convince Sam, go be Captain America, be that soldier, be the symbol the world and the country and the world need you to be the new Captain America. You know, follow your heart, listen to Steve's words, and actually accept the shield that Steve passed on to you from his heart and everything. So I am very much looking forward to that kind of character progression. I'm very much looking forward to that kind of progression and seeing how much more they integrate him into the show. But yeah, those 30 years in jail, those stories, there are stories worth exploring. So I'm definitely hoping to actually bring back Isaiah. I mean, it would be very, very annoying to actually introduce him like this and then to not bring him back again. So I'm definitely anticipating more screen time and appearances in the future and actually exploring who Isaiah is exactly and what his connections to Captain America might be. But yeah, definitely worth exploring. And yeah, so thankfully Sam was not arrested for talking to his friend on the fucking street. But Bucky was. Bucky was. I think what's but I mean, it surprised me because it was like it's such a weird thing to be arrested for not showing up for therapy. But then his therapy is government funded and government mandated, so he legally has to show up so that they can be sure. Because like even in the first one, she Dr. Rayner, I think it was Dr. Rayner. I think she actually appointed that it's part of his government pardon that he has to go with these. He has to reinforce his new identity and follow these 3 rules and check in every time to make sure he's actually done what he's supposed to do, so that the government doesn't have to worry about him going all Winter Soldier again, brainwashing or not. I think I kind of wish that Shuri would come in and say like, don't worry, I have tech that you guys can't even dream of, and I've used it to the best of my ability and actually made sure that the brainwashing from Hydra is completely out of his head. So all he has from now on are nightmares and PTSD, but he will definitely not go all Winter Soldier on anyone ever again. But he still has the skills in his arm and everything that she gave him, but other than that, nothing else. But no, he was arrested for not going to therapy. So so I mean, again, I can't help but kind of see that as like an interesting turn of the tables. Like they're suspicious of the black guy until they realize he's actually the Falcon and stuff, and that's a problem of his own. But then they end up actually arresting the white guy for missing his therapy session. So but then going forward into the therapy session, and then John bails him out. The new John bails him out. The new Capuchin America. I don't know if you guys have actually seen that meme. I think it's like I think it's like a meme of this guy just mispronouncing all the Avengers names in the most hilarious way, and he's like, I think he is like, not just mispronouncing them, but just overpronouncing each syllable in each letter. It's just the funniest thing. But Captain America, he says like Capuchin America. I couldn't stop laughing at that one. But like the new Cap, John Walker, he bails him out, and he's like, oh, he's too important of an asset to be tied up and locked away. So he bails him out, and then the Doctor comes in, and she even knows him. She even knows John. She actually admits that she's actually gone on some battles and whatnot with him. So she actually knows him and knows how important he is. So she then quickly on her tiptoes actually orders a new therapy session for Bucky, and even brings Sam in. So the couples therapy, we get the couple therapy in episode 2. And stuff, and that on its own is a mixture of some lighthearted comedy and then some deeper themes too. So I mean, they have their staring contest. They interlock their knees. I love that. Like at first, just like I would go in, but your knees are too open and my knees are colliding and stuff. And then eventually, just like them actually interlocking their knees and be like, oh, this is quite close. This is quite up close and personal. So then like that stuff was funny. And then the staring contest comes in. Like these two have that buddy cop thing nailed. And again, it's also thanks to Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan's own friendship with each other. Like they are very kind of playful and kind of like buddy with each other. So that translates so well into the show itself. And I think it's honestly one of the driving forces of this show, and actually shows just what they're capable of in terms of their own interactions and stuff. So that was cool, but then the actual darkness comes in, and then it comes up to the later when like Sam said, they could actually deal with the tensions that Bucky has with him later, and then he actually asks him why he gave up the shield, And then, of course, the tougher conversation comes in when Bucky accuses, like Bucky says that, like if Sam gave up the shield, then Steve must have been wrong about Sam, which then must mean that Steve was wrong about Bucky too. So that's where Bucky's own kind of internalized trauma and internalized anxieties and self-doubts come in, like him. Because he watched, like, from Winter Soldier onwards, he watched Steve fight for a man that the entire world insisted was a villain and a terrorist and an enemy and all that kind of stuff. But because Steve knew the entire time that the Bucky he knew and the Bucky he loved was still in there, he fought time and time again, even against the government. He fought to keep Bucky in like under his protection, under his safety, and even then, like, it was even a conversation they had on the Quinjet in Civil War, like, like Bucky asking Steve, like, are you really sure I'm worth all of this? Like, you're actively fighting against, like, friends you've known for years, and you're actively fighting against your own government to keep me safe, and, he's like, and then, Steve assures him that, whatever the consequences are, he will deal with it, and, Steve trusts Bucky. He knows that, like, the Bucky he knew, the Bucky he lived with and worked with, and stuff would never have done this, like, like anything that Bucky has done, with his hands, with his body, like only his body, like his mind was not his during that time. He is fully kind of, like, not just under the impression, but he knows the fact that, like that brainwashing means that Bucky was not in control of any of his actions, that he should not, like, be held to. I think his time as the Winter Soldier is literally a complete different mentality, a complete different kind of identity that he had, like one that was crafted and bred to kill and destroy. So he knows that. But then now, like, I think it's kind of it's interesting to see that Bucky still has that doubt that, if Sam gives up the shield even after Steve personally chose him, then it must mean that he was wrong about him. But then, then that kind of feeds into his own self-doubt that maybe Steve was wrong about him too. Maybe he still is just like a kid underneath, or maybe he's just a monster underneath, because he still has the nightmares. He still remembers. He closes his eyes and he still remembers everything that he did, everything he's done, all the lives he's taken as the Winter Soldier. So I think seeing Bucky now, I think it's going to be a very interesting arc for him too. Cause now Steve is gone. He has no one left to kind of reassure him that he's not that villain anymore, that he's not that killer anymore, that he's not really a bad guy despite what he's done. So he's now now not only living outside of Steve's shadow, but he's living without a Steve. He's living without like a person to cast that shadow. He's living without the man he's living without the only man who ever actually truly believed that he was innocent and that he didn't really deserve those punishments for those crimes. And he's living without the only man who ever actually had 100% faith in his ability to be James Buchanan Barnes again and to be that man again. And to start off with, Sam and Bucky definitely do not have that kind of working relationship. They do not have that kind of friendship. Like, they have the band. I think they have a friendship that's, like, again, very, very buddy cop. But, like, they don't, like, I think as of yet they don't really have that heart to heart connection that Sam and Steve, that Steve and Bucky did. They don't have that kind of bond just yet. They just kind of have this kind of cooperation. Like, they have that kind of mutual friendship from being friends to Steve. They have that kind of connection to Steve. That's kind of, that I think, that's going to be their own individual fight. Like they're gonna, by the end of the season, they're gonna actually fight to maintain that connection to Steve and his ideals by being together. And then over time, that kind of connection will forge into something new. And they, like, by being the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they will fight to keep Steve's legacy and Cap's legacy alive. But then by being Sam Wilson and the Bucky Barnes, by being Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, they will keep Steve's kind of, like more personal life and his more personal ideals and his friendship alive by being together too. So yeah, but damn, again, this show is not holding back with its hard-hitting themes and hard-hitting emotions. It's not holding back, and I applaud them for it. Like, I don't think they should have to hold back, and I don't think they should veer away from any darkness. If they have darkness, then they should explore it, and they should actually tackle it and actually, kind of show people what it's like, and different things like mental health, racism, like any other kind of problems that they feel would fit into the story and actually be accurate to what the story and to what the stories and what the characters are going through. They should absolutely go for it. And we will see exactly what it means for the characters by the end of the story. So, yeah. And I'm so glad they mentioned Sharon here. They didn't show her, but they actively mentioned her here. And she has been branded an enemy of the state. She said, I think I think Bucky had the idea of actually going up and stealing that shield back and taking it for themselves and doing this thing against the Flag Smashers themselves. But then Sam reminded him of what happened last time, and he said that said that Steve and him were on the run for 2 years, and he didn't even mention Natasha. I think that annoyed me. Like, he brings in. I think, okay, yeah, props for mentioning Sharon, but you can't leave out the Black. I mean, she may be dead now. She may be dead, but that does not excuse not mentioning the fact that Natasha was there on the run with you for those 2 years. Okay, Samuel. Okay, don't leave our Ms. Romanoff out of it just because she's no longer with you guys. Okay, that is unfair. Natasha was on the same run with you for 2 years, so do not. So put some respect on that name too. But he did actually bring in Sharon's name, and she was branded an enemy of the state. So I think, so they stole the shield back. Like Sharon actually got the shields. I think in the trunk of the car, we didn't see much, but we saw the important things were like Falcon's wingsuit that Sam needed, and also Steve shield too, and that was definitely after the stuff at the UN where they actually had to hand in all their equipment because it was all government property, and they even got like a receipt, a receipt for the refund and everything. So, and even Sam's costume was branded as like a bird costume, so there was that too. But I think, I like for a second there, I was actually wondering wait, when did they steal the shield back? But pardon me. Sharon actually stole the stuff back and then met them under the airport and gave it back to them. So then she was, because of that, because she then went directly against government orders too, she was actually branded as an enemy of the state. So yeah, that is going to be an interesting character arc for Sharon too, because I think that then means that Sharon herself is on the run. Like Sharon is I mean, technically they were all branded. Technically they the kind of general label that they were all branded with were fugitives. Wanda, Vision were fugitives. I mean, Vision, he had signed the Accords, but then he still kind of went his own way in Infinity War with Wanda anyway. But then, Steve and Natasha and Sam were active fugitives with darker costumes and different costumes and everything and stuff, so they looked even cooler. But they were active fugitives. But I think Sharon, she was on the run, but just like a different path than them. She was like an enemy of the state, and she actively disobeyed them. So next time we see her, it's going to be enemy of the state Sharon Carter. But I then want to see even more like what she goes through, how she helps them, how she helps Sam and Bucky take down the Flag Smashers, and if that's going to hopefully that redeems her. Honestly, I think that's how it's going to go. Bucky, Sharon, and Sam is going to be the new Steve, Natasha, and Sam. Sam's going to be the only one part of both trios, but that's going to be the new Natasha and Steve. That's going to be the new one. So I can't tell you how excited I am to see this trio finally team up and kick some ass and actually treat each other with respect and actually show the world that they are people worthy of respect and worthy of recognition for doing the work that they do. So I can't wait to see Sharon actually meeting up with Sam and Bucky again and being, in that group and seeing how hard they fight and just the good times they have too. Hopefully Sharon doesn't. I mean, I can't see any reason Sharon might harbor a grudge against them. Because I think she made her own choice. She made her own choice and then she actually paid the consequences for it. So hopefully this show actually does her some justice. Hopefully people will learn to stop hating on Sharon Carter for whatever it is they think she did wrong. But hopefully this show gives us a Sharon Carter that everyone realizes is actually worth loving and worth respecting and worth kind of enjoying as a character on her own accord. So I very, very much look forward to seeing how they bring her back and what they do with her. So yeah, I think that sucks to hear though. She is an enemy of the state. She's an enemy of the, she's just constantly on the run. I think you know what her great aunt would have been proud. Her great aunt would have been proud for her helping Captain America, for helping Steve get back into the fray, get back into the fight, and actually doing what he thought was right. Because I think it goes without saying, Peggy would have trusted Steve, and she also would have undeniably trusted Bucky, and she would have actually trusted that, he was an innocent man, regardless of what Hydra did to him, and he did not deserve to be kind of, treated the way he was for what he did. So she would have been undeniably proud of her, so that is something worth noting. But yeah, hopefully we get some good Sharon Carter content in the future of this season, so I can't wait. And then we got some more screen time with the Flag Smashers too, and they are super soldiers. They are pretty much all super soldiers. So they have some serum. And I think the history of the serum in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is something honestly insane to actually process, because it starts off with Erskine. It begins with Erskine. It begins with Erskine back in the 40s and him creating Steve and making him Captain America. So it begins there, but then from there onwards, we've had so many different variations, so many different interpretations of it. Like we've had Bruce trying to replicate the serum, thinking the gamma radiation was the key, and then he became the Incredible Hulk. We've had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We've had what's it called? The Centipede Serum. The Centipede Serum. We've had the Centipede Serum with John Garrett using that to he was the beginning of the Deathlock project, and then he also went on to employ to recruit Mike Peterson into his kind of gang of merry bad guys, and then Deathlock eventually became good. He became very much a good guy, and then he maintained his super soldierness and his kind of cyborg body and everything. That was so cool. Yeah, Mike Peterson, another black hero we have in the MCU too. So so that was cool. So we've had the Centipede Serum. We've had, what's his name? The gorilla testosterone guy. The guy. Daisy's dad. Cal Johnson. He made the most bootleg mock-up of a super soldier serum with like gorilla testosterone and all these different things, and then with like a hint of peppermint too. And he became his own kind of super soldier type of thing. So we've had different mock-ups. We've had official mock-ups and other actual more homemade remedies and homemade versions of it, like different things. Like honestly, seeing the timeline, seeing the progression, and in some cases degression of the kind of how the super soldier serum exists is honestly just amazing to see. So whoever these guys are, they have their own serum, and I think it could be stolen. I mean, they were hoarding vaccines. They were stealing medicines and vaccines and other things that I think whether or not they were actually medicines. I mean, it could have been half medicines, half serum, because all the official all the official flag smashers have their own serum. Like that girl who kicked Bucky out the truck. She's the leader. And then the big guy. All the ones we saw in this basically are like the kind of inner circle, like the inner circle of the flag smashers, and then they all have their own serum. They all have their own serum. They all have their own powers. But yeah, the leader is, I wrote her name down somewhere, Carly Morgenthau. She's the leader. And she's getting death threats. She's already getting death messages. She was getting like messages from like an unknown number being like, you stole something from me, so I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna kill you. Like she was already getting death threats for whatever it was that she stole. So I think off the top of my head, I thought maybe she stole the serum. Maybe she stole the serum and she gave it to herself, and then she gave it to her other friends too. So maybe that's what she stole. Because then again, like this serum clearly works. It doesn't have any other side effects. It doesn't have any other kinds of blowbacks. It just gives them the super strength they need, and then they use it. And it's also lasting too. I mean, it may be lasting. We didn't see them needing to constantly inject themselves with anything like it was like Compound V or some shit, but. Like it seemed to work and it seemed to last. I think that could be what they stole. Like I think and it definitely could have happened during the. I think it could have happened during the blip. Could have happened during, because I think with the blip there also comes less security around different things, especially around different government funded science projects. And I think it's also not implausible to believe that the government could still trying to come up with different variations and different kind of versions of the serum, like different ones, like different types, like similar to how Compound V works in the boys. They could be working to to replicate that serum and to actually come up with different. I mean, they didn't need it for John Walker because he was good on his own. He was able to do what he needed to on his own, but. At the same time, I wouldn't put it past the government to come up with different variations that they might need, and maybe one of those variations was actually the one that Carly and the rest of the Flag Smashers stole, and they tried to make it their own. I think they might have did it after the blip, because I think during the blip they would have less trouble doing what they needed to do, and they would have less trouble actually making their awareness and making their presence known and becoming the Flag Smashers. But then after the blip, when more people come back, they then need to reinforce their presence and reinforce their kind of status within the world. So then they steal the serum, and then they actually gain more strength, gain more necessary strength to actually take down any opposition that stands in their way. So yeah, but they have supporters. They definitely have supporters there. They actually found some shelter in an old not abandoned, but in an old building where there was food that the guy cooked. Him and his wife were huge supporters of the Flag Smashers. So they had loads of food, chicken livers, plenty of protein to help them maintain their strength and everything. And they had shelters and computers. They had loads of beds and computers and everything. And the guy was wiping out Carly's kind of ID and her kind of, fingerprint on the internet and everything. So they have the support. They have support they need. They have like a private plane to fly all their resources out and about everyone. And there was a guy. There was like the power broker. He sent his men after them. The power broker sent his men after them, and they had guns. And yeah, super soldiers are not immune to guns, as we've seen. Bucky shot Steve several times in the Winter Soldier. So he. So super soldiers doesn't mean you get impenetrable skin, just means you get stronger skin and stronger muscles and everything like that. So bullets definitely didn't do. Well, it definitely did stop him. Definitely did stop him, and I think the most he did was literally pulling down that pole, that wire cable pole thing to stop the cars. And then he ran at them anyway, and then they all gunned him down. So yes, he held them back and gave them as much time as they needed to actually get themselves in the air and everything. So that was fun. But yeah, the Flag Smashers, they have a motto too: one world, one people. We already know that they believe in like a better world, the way during the blip, like a world unified without borders, just one Earth, one people. So that is their motto: one world, one people. So they believe in reclaiming the world as it used to be theirs before, and stuff. So that is also going to be an interesting, again, it's going to be like an interesting group to see Sam and Bucky fighting, because I think. I'm curious as to whether they might use Sam and Bucky's identities against them. If they might be like, you guys, for a fact that you don't fit into the world in like as it is now, the way that you used to before. That you have your own trauma to deal with, you have your own problems to deal with. You come with us. We can actually fight together to make a better world where it's not just united under one banner, but or no banners, but it's also people united under one world, no matter who they are, no matter what they look like. I'm curious as to whether they'll actually go down that route to actually try and empathize with Sam and Bucky and be like, you guys want the same thing we do to protect the people of our world, but just in a different way in a different way compared to what it is now. So I'm curious as to whether they'll go down that route. But either way, I mean, they are very clearly the antagonists, so I can't imagine that they'll come to any kind of easy agreement. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, that is it. That is pretty much all I can remember, all I've picked up. I have a page full of notes and stuff, so it was interesting to see. So I think we closed out on Zemo. Like Sam and Bucky actually concluded that if they wanted if they wanted to crack down on this stuff and actually get closer to what. I feel like they definitely need because they figured out that on the one hand, they need Isaiah. They need Isaiah on their side. They need Isaiah to help them and stuff. So, but then they also need to actually they themselves need to understand the story of what happened to Isaiah, what he did, and then Bucky deduced that when Isaiah said your people, he didn't just mean white people. He meant specifically Hydra. Hydra locked him up and experimented on him. So they need to go to the one guy. I think again, until he mentioned Zemo, I'm almost embarrassed to admit it, but until he mentioned Zemo, it didn't fully click in my head that Zemo was who he meant. He just kind of explained, Sam knew almost immediately, and then Bucky reaffirmed that he's the one guy that they know who knows all about Hydra's secrets and everything, because he did his own investigations for over a year before he made himself known. So they need to go see him, and then it's like, yeah, we need to visit Zemo. So then we go back to the CIA. I think it was in was it Vienna? I think is that where he's locked up? I think Berlin. No, Berlin, wasn't it? I think it was Berlin. Vienna was where the explosion happened. But I think it was actually Berlin where he was being kept. Yeah, and then it was in Berlin. So he's been kept in the CIA kind of lockup in Berlin, and he's still in that same lock. And when we even saw him, we saw his face in the darkness. His face lit up ever so slightly in the darkness. So Baron Zemo is coming out. So I think this is also before he breaks out. This is definitely before he breaks out and he gets his mask and he crafts his identity as Baron Zemo. So we already know what his motives are. He even said it in the trailer. He said it in the trailer. He doesn't believe that superheroes should be allowed to exist, and he also doesn't. He has no intention to leave his work unfinished. So he definitely will not have many happy words to say to Bucky or to Sam, so I cannot wait to see how that interaction goes and how well their conversation goes. So that will definitely be an exciting thing to see in the next episode, and see just to see how cooperative he can be with them too. Like if he actually does bring up the notebook again, or if he does kind of try and bring up any of Bucky's kind of Hydra past, but then Bucky reassures him that it won't work because the brainwashing has been taken out of him. But then, you know, knowing Zemo, he will try and bring those memories back. He'll be like, oh sure, the key word, like those little key phrases and those brainwashing techniques are gone, but the memories, the nightmares, they're all still there, Bucky. They're all still there. I can exploit them just as well. So it's not going to be. I mean, it will be fun, but just in like a, you know, more like a villainous way. So I'm curious to see how that goes down. But yeah, that is pretty much all I've got from this episode. It was a big one. As all these ones will very likely be, but it was no less enjoyable. So yeah, that was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Season 1, Episode 2. So thank you guys, as always, so much for being here and for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next time on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Once again, the full-length reaction for this episode will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that over there. And yeah, that is it. So I will see you guys next time.